Good morning, everyone joining me today. Welcome to Restorative Yoga class. My name is Ndapwa, and I'll be taking us through our hour-long session today. I'll just give us a couple of minutes for anyone who still needs to join the stream. Yay, people are coming in. Morning. Hi. All right, so I think we can get started. So just make sure you're nice and comfy. You've got a mat or a towel laid out. If you've got yoga blocks, you can have them handy. It's our restorative session, so we're focused on giving the body as much support as possible so that you can be nice and comfy in your resting position. Otherwise, you can always grab some pillows from your bed, towels, anything that you can sort of roll up and sort of slide underneath you to give you a bit of support. So yeah, we can get started. So today's session, we're going to do a nice sort of full body stretch. Maybe the body hasn't been able to be moving as much as possible. This is important that it's important that we focus on the breath. So the breath is the most important thing during the next hour. If you have any neck or shoulder, back injuries, just be really, really gentle with the spine. If anything doesn't feel good, then I'll do my best to give us some alternate poses. But also remember, you can always come out of any pose and just go into child's pose or whatever your favorite resting pose is. And we should be good to go. So we'll start in a nice comfortable seat. If the lower back feels a little bit tight, you can always slide a pillow or a block just underneath the hips, underneath the sitting bones, just to help you bring up the floor a little bit, maybe help you sit up a little bit taller. And just starting with our hands resting on our knees, you can sit cross-legged, you can sit in half lotus, you can even sit with your legs extended if that feels good today. Wherever we are, resting hands on the knees or on the ground beside us, and we'll holding slightly at the top and exhaling through the nose for 4 or 5 counts. So just thinking of making your exhale a little bit slower. So inhaling nice and deep, maybe bringing the hand to the belly so that as the lungs fill up, you start to feel the belly pushing out. Holding slightly at the top before we exhale, feeling the belly button pulling into. So maybe letting the eyes close. And we'll take about 5 rounds here. So this is just so we can really start to settle into our practice. Whatever brought us here to our mat today, whatever waits for us after we step off our mat. Just creating space to set that aside temporarily. And find this time to just focus in on what the body needs and what feels good for the body. So important when you're going through times of higher stress. Taking one more deep breath in, 3 or 4 counts. And exhaling nice and slow. Beautiful. So we're going to start with just a little gentle movement for the body, nothing too hectic. So we'll inhale to bring our arms up and exhale, twisting over to your left side. So your left hand comes down behind you, right hand comes down to rest on the left knee. On your next inhale, finding a little bit of length, so thinking of your top of your head going towards the ceiling or sky if you're outside. And as you exhale, think of rotating the rib cage only, so the hips are staying nice and square. Rib cage rotates over to your left side. Maybe you don't turn all the way around. Maybe your gaze starts to go over your left shoulder. You're just being gentle with the spine now, giving it some very nice gentle love. First thing in the morning, maybe. And as you exhale, maybe have a little bit of space, even to just think about twisting over a little more. And then coming back to center. We'll take a deep breath in. And exhaling, twisting over to your right now. So your right hand comes behind you. Left hand comes to rest on the opposite knee. Taking a deep breath in, finding a little bit of length, growing a little bit taller. And as you exhale, think of the rib cage. Just twisting over to the side. Maybe closing your eyes so you can really focus in on how the spine feels here. Think of the hips staying nice and grounded, nice and heavy. Taking 2 or 3 more breaths here. And coming back through center. Just do a little bit of a twist, so placing your left hand down on the mat beside you, or rather a little bit of an extension. As we inhale, we're going to sweep our right arm up and overhead, so starting to place your weight into your left hand. If it feels available, you can come down onto the left forearm. Also remembering a great place for a block or a blanket, so you can just help you bring the ground up closer to you. And while we're here, thinking of if the arm is starting to rotate down, if your gaze is going down, thinking of opening up the chest, maybe your gaze starts to slightly go up. And if this arm being up here for too long is uncomfortable, remembering. And if this arm being up here for too long is uncomfortable, remembering you can always just bring the hand down, taking it a little bit less intense, but still getting all of the beautiful stretch through the side body. Thinking again of this right hip being nice and heavy. And slowly coming up. Now inhaling as we sweep our left arm up and over. So coming down onto your forearm on the block or on the ground. We sweep our left arm up and over. So coming down onto your forearm on the block or on the ground. Taking any variation with the arm that feels good. Trying to keep your arm in the frame if you're doing video. Maybe closing the eyes so you can really start to feel the stretch all the way from the left hip bone up through the left side body, through the muscles of the ribs, up through underneath the armpit, all the way to the tips of the fingers. Taking one more deep breath in here. And exhaling, coming back to center. Beautiful. So we're going to start our first posture will be an extended child's pose. So coming onto all fours. And when you're here, bringing the big toes together, taking the knees maybe as wide as your mat if that feels good. Just making sure you have enough space for your torso to start to come down between thighs here. You can always grab some pillows if you'd like. Create a little bit of a bolster here as you start to lower the torso down. Arms extending in front of you. Letting the head rest down on the mat or on a block, on a blanket. So starting to find ourselves in our first posture. If maybe the hips are a little bit tight, just taking your time, letting your breath guide you. Maybe thinking with every breath that the hips sink a little bit heavier. But remembering if bum doesn't want to come to the heels today, fine, as long as you're not feeling any pain, as long as you're feeling nice and supported. Remember, you can always tuck a towel underneath the ankles or between the bum and the heels to give a little bit of padding depending on how your feet feel. And we'll hold here for a couple of minutes, so making sure you're nice and set up, nice and comfy. So letting your eyes fall closed. Back to our long, slow, deep breathing. So with every inhale, really trying to fill the lungs as much as possible. And as you exhale and the body contracts, maybe finding a little bit of space to sink a little bit deeper. And if your head is resting on a flat surface like your mat or on a block, it's a nice opportunity to just rock the head from side to side. Giving a little bit of massage to the front of the head. So holding here for another minute or so. The body, and you can always come into a normal child's pose, so with the legs together, giving the body a bit more support and something to rest on as you come down, letting your head rest down on the mat or block. I have more breaths here. One more breath. And slowly we're starting to raise. And slowly we're starting to raise the head up, taking our hands back towards us, just so that we can come up onto all fours. Maybe give the ankles a couple of rotations, get the blood flow going. And then from here, we're just going to come all the way down onto our belly on our mat. So lying down completely flat. So on the flats, the top of your feet, so making sure your feet aren't tucked like this. You want your legs nice and soft here. And from here, we're going to come up onto our forearms for Sphinx pose. So coming into a bit of a back bend, your shoulders, and that your arms are nice and parallel. So think that your arms are nice and parallel. So think of them as two train tracks. You don't want arms spreading out. You don't want arms coming in. You want them nice and parallel. And then seeing how the lower back is feeling. If this is already feeling quite intense, remembering you can always slide a couple of cushions or maybe a block and a cushion underneath the ribs just to take some of the weight off the back. But otherwise, I'm just going to shift back a little bit so you can see this adjustment. Remembering you can always, from here, elbows underneath the shoulders, you can always walk elbows slightly forward. So you start to come down lower, so the angle here for your back becomes less intense. So just seeing where the body needs to be today. And once you're nice and set up and you're feeling no pain in the lower back, see what feels good. You can keep your gaze just in front of you towards the top of your mat. Or if it feels all right for the back of the neck, you can let the head relax down. Maybe it doesn't reach the mat, but you can always slide a block or a pillow underneath the forehead. Just play around with how this feels. Checking back in with our breath here. So with every inhale, our belly pressing into the mat as the lungs fill up and force a little bit of pressure down into the belly. With every exhale, belly button slowly just pulling up towards the spine. Maybe find a little bit more space. Being super aware here of how the lower back is feeling. If you're feeling any pinching or any crunching, coming back then even smaller, or even just coming down onto the mat. So checking in with the lower spine. In the morning, if you haven't had time for mobility, it can be quite a lot, even though it looks like a gentle back bend. 5 more breaths here. Your head is bowed. Using your breath to just be aware of the stretch down the back of the neck, maybe going in between the shoulder blades. Taking one more breath here. Taking one more breath here. And then coming to lie flat on your mat again. I'm just going to shift forward. Placing one hand on top of the other, and then just letting the head rest on your folded hands. Letting the feet be loose, and maybe letting the toes sort of point outwards and the heels point in. Realize you can't see my feet right now. So maybe just letting your feet be nice and relaxed. And if it feels good for the lower back, just pressing first the front hip crease, the right hip crease. If it feels good for the lower back, just pressing first the front hip crease, the right hip crease, and then the front of the left hip into the mat. So it's going to look a little bit like you're just swaying your bum from side to side. Taking this movement nice and slow. Finding a little bit of release for the lower back if it feels okay. And then coming to stillness here for 3 nice deep breaths. Letting the restorative power of your breathing really be the foundation of our practice today. And slowly we're going to come back up onto all fours. So pressing up through the hands, coming onto the knees. Now going into child's pose, so not extended child's pose, keeping legs relatively together. And from here, just sinking heels back, hips back with the heels, just sinking heels back, hips back with the heels. And letting the head come down to rest. This is a really nice one for a block or for a pillow. And sweeping arms around and back so that your hands are just resting next to the feet, palms facing upwards. Hands are just resting next to the feet, palms facing upwards. If it feels available and you'd like to just let the head come down to the mat or dangle slightly, play around with how that feels. We'll stay here for about a minute. It's a really delicious, nice resting pose. So really enjoy it. Also gives the spine some nice time to adjust after that back bend. So with your breathing, really try to be aware of how the back is feeling. And slowly coming up, slowly coming up. Maybe thinking of rolling up slowly, stacking the spine. It feels good. So the head be the last thing to come up. Move back onto all fours. And remembering if you're on a bit of a hard surface, you can always double up your mat or even triple up your mat underneath your knees to give you a little bit more of support so you're not pressing on a hard surface for too long. We'll just do a few rounds of cat-cow here, worrying less about how it looks and more about how it feels. Just checking in that knees are underneath the hips, about hip width apart, so you can put your two fists together, slide between the knees to give you a little bit of an approximation of what that might look like. The knees underneath the hips, hands stacked underneath the shoulders. And from here, we'll do a few rounds of cat-cow. So inhaling as the belly begins to drop, your chin comes forward, your gaze comes forward. Here we are in cow pose. And as you exhale, tucking the tailbone, starting to round through the spine. Curving up, letting the head drop down between the forearms in our cat pose. Inhaling, curling the spine in the other direction, carving a line with the nose and the gaze coming forward, maybe bending slightly through the elbows if that feels good. Cow. And exhaling as you tuck the tailbone, so really seeing if you can feel each vertebrae as it shifts direction, pressing through the hands like an angry cat. And then taking 3 or 4 rounds at your own pace. You can close your eyes if you like. Remembering you can add any sort of organic movement. So if you want to add a little circular motion with the body, going ahead, maybe coming all the way back for a moment. Taking this as a chance not only to give the spine a little bit of movement, even the sides of the body, the rib cage, many muscle groups working together to help you get this gentle restorative flow through the body. And then coming to stillness. So our next posture will be a heart opening pose. So heart melting pose. So to start with, you can come down onto your forearms. See if you can place your elbows just where your hands were, so underneath the shoulders. And if this already feels like a nice opening for the chest, then maybe just staying here. Otherwise, if it feels accessible, starting to walk the knees back. Starting to walk the knees back, keeping your arms nice and parallel, so just like we had them in Sphinx pose, but starting to melt the chest down towards the mat. So here again, nice place for a blanket or some pillows, just to bring something for your chest to rest on as we try to melt the heart down to the mat. So see what feels good, seeing if maybe if it feels okay for the neck, the gaze can stay forward, maybe the head doesn't drop completely. The gaze stays forward, so the chest starts to reach down to the mat or the pillows, rather than having your head start to reach down. So see what feels good, maybe taking a few breaths in a more extended heart opening pose, heart melting pose. And if that feels like a little bit too much, bringing the elbows back towards the body, taking this nice modified version, seeing if you take a look at my hips here, my hips are coming up over, past my knees. So thinking if I can keep the hips stacked over the knees, even as I melt my chest forward down more. So maybe a little bit tricky. When you find that sweet spot where you can hold here for maybe 10 breaths or so, really feeling with every inhale the skin of the belly stretching. Feeling the ribcage expand as you inhale. And as you exhale, maybe you find a little bit of space as the body contracts to melt down even further. This is also a really intense stretch for the shoulders. So just be aware of how the shoulder joint feels, making any adjustments as you need to. Taking 5 more breaths here. Hand feels good. Checking in, arms are so parallel, giving you a nice support Fingertips spread wide. Keeping arms nice and soft. If you can, so finding that sweet spot between them as your strong foundation, but also not making this a very active pose where you're holding. And slowly, we're going to walk your knees back towards the hands. And from here, just sitting back again into our child's pose. You can also always have a nice cushion here between the upper body and the lower body. It's actually a really nice version of child's pose, which is a bit more supported. It's a little bit easier when you don't have glasses on, but such is life. So just resting here in this rebound pose for a couple of minutes. It feels good for those shoulders that have just been stretched and opened quite a lot. You can either sweep arms behind, coming towards the hands, coming towards the feet, or see how it feels. Maybe if you want to have your arms gently outstretched. Just taking 5 breaths here wherever you are, letting the eyes full closed. Slowly, we're going to come back up. Coming back up onto our hands, just so that we can tuck the toes underneath. So we're going to go into a toe stretch here for our next posture. So seeing if you can use your hands or use whatever method you need to, maybe slightly coming up onto your feet, just so that you can have your toes nice and tucked as much as possible. Even using your hands to maybe guide the toes a little bit. Don't worry if they don't all tuck. Here, my little baby toe never seems to quite get there. So just having toes nice and tucked, we're going to start with our hands just resting on the mat in front of us. Maybe this is already quite an intense stretch, so it feels accessible. It's okay in the feet starting to walk. It feels okay in the feet starting to walk, the hands close towards you, going to come more upright. You can come all the way up so that your weight now is helping with this quite intense toe stretch. Remember, you can always maybe take a couple of breaths here, take a little break. A really intense stretch for the feet. As long as it doesn't feel painful, remembering that the feet are really quite durable, can take a lot more stretch than we give them credit for. And still remembering to just play with the intensity here. No need to push too hard. So maybe find a resting pose, a little bit of a halfway pose. Where you can hold for your last 3 breaths, and really breathing that energy, whatever it means to breathe. It feels like in that area of the body. We'll take 1 more breath here. And then coming up onto the knees so we can untuck the toes. Just placing the flats of the feet on the floor. It feels good to get a little bit of an alternate stretch, sitting back onto the heels. Maybe placing hands and feet, just giving a little bit of a rub, a little bit of massage there for the toes that just worked hard for us. Very nice. So now staying on our knees, again remembering you can double up your mat here. If you need a little bit of support, you're just going to step your left foot to the front of your mat so that you're in a nice low lunge. Bringing your hand to the mat, to the ground for a little bit of support. Again, you can always have a block or something here. And then keep your hips nice and low. You're going to just bring your left hand to the inside of your left knee and start to guide that knee out to the left. So starting to roll onto the edge of your left foot if that feels good. So opening out the knee. If this feels okay, if you feel supported in this posture and you're not feeling any pain, maybe starting to take your gaze over to the left side. So coming into a gentle twist with the upper body. So massaging the left hip joint, getting some nice external rotation in that hip joint. And also we're finding the stretch going all the way through the front of the right hip crease. Maybe you're feeling a bit of stretch here on the right side of the bum. So just see where the body activates when you're in this posture, but remembering if there's any pain, coming out of the pose or coming out slowly. So if you're here and you're feeling a bit of pain, maybe just coming down onto both hands if that feels okay. Or even coming back here to our low lunge. So we'll hold for another 2 breaths wherever we are. And then slowly coming back to our lunge. Walking our left foot a little bit further left, so making a little bit more space. So we can bring our block to the inside of the left foot and starting to come down with your forearm onto your block here. So starting to bring the body down past the left bent leg, still using your right hand for support. And you can play around with length here. You can make your block or any support that you have here a little bit lower. But remembering, before you try to come down to 2 forearms, to the full variation of the pose, making sure this left hand can come down, this left forearm can come down. That's how you know you're ready to start going onto both forearms. If this left forearm doesn't come down comfortably, probably just using your block or support, so even staying up on both hands. This is already quite a nice stretch. The inner left leg getting some nice activation here. So we'll hold here for 5 more breaths. Very nice. And then slowly we're going to come up just enough so that you can now walk your left foot over to the right, preparing for pigeon pose. And then letting the left knee drop over, bringing your left foot as close into your groin as you need to so that you can be nice and even on both sides. You want to avoid rolling over onto your left bum cheek. You can always prop a pillow or a block just underneath the bum for a bit of support. So here we are in our pigeon pose. So making sure that this leg is also being nice and straight, so you don't want it to be too wonky or not fully extended. So from here, if this feels good, you can come down onto your forearms. Or if you want to take the full pose, you can come all the way down, letting your torso come down. Maybe the head rests on a blanket or block here. The arms can stay just in front of you, or you can extend them out in front if you've got a little bit more space than I have. Wherever you are, remembering that if you're struggling a little bit to keep the balance here, it can be a bit of a tricky pose. You can always slide a pillow or something underneath the bum So I'll just change legs just so I can show you what that looks like. Just sliding something underneath the bum with a bit of support. You've got a little bit more of a base to rest on. So we'll stay here for another minute or so. Remember, you can make any adjustments as you'd like to. Any point. Let's take a little break, grab a little sip of water that feels necessary. It's a little bit warm today. Coming back to our breath as always when we have these moments of pause. Coming back to that feeling of trying to slow down your exhale. So maybe inhaling for 4 counts. 2, 3, 4. Exhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So feeling the belly here filling up as the lungs fill, maybe pressing against the side of that left thigh. Taking one more breath here. And then slowly coming up onto forearms. And then up onto our hands, just so we can lift the hips enough to slide the left knee back. So we're back at a nice tabletop position. Maybe stretching the left leg out to the back of the mat, so spiking the left heel, getting a little bit of stretch for the back of the left leg. Maybe making some gentle circles with the left knee, just getting circulation going in the hip joint. And then taking our sequence, a little leg sequence on the other side, so stepping our right foot forward to the front of our mat. So finding ourselves in our nice slow lunge. Walking the right foot a little bit further right off to the side of the mat. And then using our left hand as our support system. Also remembering you can bring the ground up to you a little bit. Using the right hand to guide the right knee out to the side, so rolling onto the right side of the foot here. That feels okay in the left hip as it starts to rotate externally. So you can come down with both hands here if that feels good. Then if you feel like you have a bit more space, maybe starting to take your gaze over to the right so you can bring the hand to the hip. Remember not to put too much pressure here. You don't want to put too much weight In this joint, just taking the gaze over to the right, so finding a little bit of opening through the front body. Taking 2 more breaths wherever you are. And then slowly you can use the right hand to just guide the knee back into place. And we'll go into our dragon pose. So bringing your block or whatever support you may want to have to the inside of the right foot now. And then coming down past the bent right leg. So coming to rest the forearm on a block or whatever support you have here. Remember, you can want to stay upright on both arms. So what we're thinking is, instead of having the body coming over this right leg, we want the body to come past this right leg. So helping gain mobility in the right hip joint. Checking in that this ankle is underneath the knee. Once the knee starts coming past the ankle, we come into injury zones. So we'll be really careful that the knees be either just on top of the ankle or even a little bit behind rather. So we'll hold here for another 5 or 6 breaths. If you'd like to make any adjustments, maybe come slightly deeper in, maybe come slightly more up to take the intensity out. Making any changes for these last 5 breaths, maybe bringing the eyes closed. Taking a moment of pause to go back to our breathing. Slowing down our exhale. Taking one more breath here. And slowly coming up, shifting our block out of the way if we've been using one. Preparing for pigeon pose on the right now, so wiggling our right foot over to the opposite side of the mat, letting the knee drop down as you bring your right foot as close into the groin as you need to give you that support base. Remembering you can always slide something underneath the bottom of the thigh here for a bit of support. That you're nice and stable in your pigeon pose, not leaning over to one side too much. Seeing if you can keep the hips nice and square. And from here, maybe coming down onto the forearms. Staying here, if this is already feeling quite intense. Often one leg might feel a lot different to the other ones. Just play around with how this side feels. And if you want a little bit more intensity coming down, either onto a block or onto your folded hands, letting your head rest down further. So staying here for another minute or so. Letting the eyes full close and maybe just taking a moment of awareness, scanning through how this pigeon pose feels on this side of the body. Taking 3 or 4 more breaths here. And slowly coming back up onto our forearms, back up onto our hands. Lifting the hips just enough so we can slide the right knee back. And then maybe stepping right foot to the back of the mat, so spiking the heel slightly. Just getting a gentle stretch for the back of the right leg. Maybe making some small circles with the right leg, the right knee. Finding that nice blood flow in this leg, seeing if maybe it feels a little different after that beautiful leg sequence. And then from here, just coming to lie flat on our mat for our last posture before Shavasana, corpse pose. We'll just do a little bit of a twist for the body. Should feel nice and delicious. Remembering we can have our props at any time here. So just bringing legs parallel, your shins parallel to the floor, taking arms out to the side, and then just letting our legs fall over to the left. So if you've got a nice prop there, giving you a little bit of support, making it as high or low as you feel. Feels good. Remembering the legs don't have to be perfectly stacked as long as you're in a twist. So you can always have the legs in any sort of configuration that feels good. And if this feels nice and tasty, you can take your gaze over your right shoulder. So finding a little bit more dynamic twisting here, adding different parts of the body so you can get your money's worth for this stretch. Letting the eyes full close. As once again, we start to follow the breath. Feeling the belly rise, maybe letting your left hand rest on the belly. Every inhale, giving the internal organs a nice massage. Taking 3 more breaths here on the side. And slowly bringing our head back to center. Legs coming back to center. Taking a moment here just to bring knees into chest. Maybe rock from side to side slightly, giving the back a bit of a massage. It feels good. And then shifting any props you might want to use to the other side now, extending our arms in a nice T shape, and letting knees fall over to the right this time. And maybe your gaze goes over your left shoulder if that feels good. Just making sure you can let the legs be nice and heavy, so making any adjustments to the shape here of your legs, so you can be nice and relaxed, still getting all the beautiful twisting through the middle body. Taking 5 more breaths on this side. So making them the nicest, slowest, longest breaths you've taken all class, this whole session. And slowly bringing head back to center, legs back to center. This time just grabbing the knees with the hands and letting the legs be heavy. So instead of pulling knees into chest, just letting the arms be straight. And then making little circles with the knees. Basically giving the lower back a nice massage. And now preparing for our final posture, Shavasana. So coming to lie flat on your mat, stretching legs out long. If it feels good, you can prop something underneath the knees for a bit of support for the lower back. Letting arms open up to the side. Feel like a little blankie or eye pillow. You can just grab them now. Covering the body up so you're nice and cozy. And letting your focus start to go now. The manipulation of the body and the movement aspect of our restorative sequence gently coming to a close. Just gently scan the body, see how it feels. Maybe scanning more internally, seeing just how the mind feels, how the heart feels. Just noticing without judgment as we close our practice with Shavasana, horse pose. Bringing your focus back into your space, wherever you are. Maybe gently wiggling fingers and toes, maybe touching each finger to your thumb. Just starting to be aware of the sensations of the body, any smells, the taste in your mouth, the sounds of a Saturday morning, the temperature of the air on your skin. Keeping your eyes closed if you can, just rolling over onto your left side. Maybe gently curling up as if you're just about to get up from a nap. So giving the body time to adjust, not just jumping straight into the rest of the day. And now moving at your own pace, just coming up to a nice comfortable seat. Bringing hands together in front of the chest as we begin to close our practice. And taking a moment to genuinely thank yourself for carving out just an hour of time for self-restoration, especially important when we're going through times of change and maybe stress and anxiety. And remembering that it's as simple as just breathing nice and deep and slowing down your inhales, the foundation of any restorative practice that you might want to take on your own. Remembering that this live stream will still be available to you. So thanking yourself for continuing your practice, making time to find balance in mind, body, and soul. Thank you for joining this morning's practice. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. I hope it was a good practice. Feel free to drop a message in our WhatsApp group or in the comments here if you've got any questions or any feedback. Please remember to drink lots of water and happy Independence Day. See you soon.